Okay, everybody. Going to call the meeting of the Select Board. This is Monday, March 30th, 2020. As people who might be viewing this either through YouTube with the live stream or on TV or as a Zoom participant, will see that this is a virtual meeting. It's the first one that the Select Board has done entirely virtually. And I want to start by granting permission to Westwood Media Center to record and air this meeting. And I also want to thank them again for facilitating this Zoom meeting and allowing us all to have access to it and for the public to have access. So thank you to Melinda and Connor for keeping us going through this challenging time. So I want to read something just to frame how it is that we're doing this virtual meeting. This is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 23rd, 2020 emergency order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, and also the March 30th, 2020 Select Board meeting, March 30th Select Board meeting will be conducted via remote participation by the board. The public is encouraged to join this meeting and participate fully via the Zoom meeting link or Zoom phone numbers that I believe are listed on the screen. Connor or Melinda, can you confirm for me that they do appear on the television screen or the YouTube video screen, or both? Are you able to tell me that?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. So I will just give the phone number because I think hearing and taking in a login link for Zoom is probably more challenging. When we get to the 2 points during this meeting where the public are allowed to participate, I'll repeat the phone number, but here it is for people to write down now. These are toll-free numbers, either 877-853-5257 or 888-475-4499. And the meeting ID that accompanies calling in for this is 272-525-486. So that will hopefully help people when they would like to call in later in the meeting, or for some people, that is how they will tie into the meeting. I will also add that all the participation information for this meeting appears on the Town of Westwood website. And if you go to the main page and click where the Select Board meeting appears next to the March 30th date, that will take you to the agenda and has a link to Zoom meeting and the call-in information. So moving into our agenda for tonight. I will start with the chair's update, and after I get through a few updates, I would like to ask Jim O'Sullivan from the Board of Health to give us all a quick update on the number of cases that we have in Westwood that was reported out tonight with a code red call to people signed up for that. But let me start with an update on COVID-19 and where we are. Last week, people will have heard that the Westwood Board of Health and the Westwood Select Board both held emergency meetings separately, and both voted unanimously to approve a declaration of emergency for the town of Westwood. And this followed the governor's early advisory on March 23rd, the same day, for Massachusetts residents to stay at home. Some updates on where we are with municipal buildings and access. The following buildings continue to be closed: Westwood Town Hall, the Public Library, the Council on Aging, Islington Community Center, Carby Street, which includes the Public Works Department, Building Department, and Community and Economic Development, and the Recreation Department, including the pool. And as people know, the schools continue to be closed, and their closure has now been extended to March 4th by Governor Baker. I want people to know that the staffing by town staff is very limited in buildings. The buildings, as I said, are closed, but the amount of staffing we have physically present has been cut down to a bare minimum. People are receiving phone calls, so if you leave messages, our team is doing its best to respond in a timely manner. And for anyone who needs to drop off any payments or correspondence, there is a drop box in front of Town Hall. Can somebody confirm that that's meant to be the green mailbox that's outside?
Yes, it is.
Am I right that it's the green mailbox? Or
Yes, I can confirm that, yes.
Okay, thank you. So there's a green mailbox that's right in front of Town Hall. It's very green. And if you need to drop off payments or correspondence, you can do so. Another update, and this is something that went into effect last week, all the fields, whether it be the municipal properties or school properties, including track, outdoor playing fields at the high school, Deerfield, all the schools, playgrounds, basketball courts, tennis courts, they are all closed until further notice. We are evaluating this, and at this time, they remain closed. And so unless you hear that they have been opened, assume that they are all closed. And I'll add, while it's not under our purview, Hale has, in consultation with the Board of Health, chosen to close roads to vehicles and parking lots to vehicles as well. At this point in time, the trails may still be accessed on foot and by bicycle during daylight hours. Otherwise, please adhere to no cars, vehicles parking or driving through Hale. And there are several other updates I'll highlight just a little bit. Public safety is still very much up and running. If you have an emergency and need to call 911, we again ask that you inform the dispatcher if you or anyone at your location are experiencing what appear to be flu-like or coronavirus-like symptoms, so that they are prepared. Now, they will always be prepared, but it helps inform them while they're on their way to you, and it will not cause any delay in their response to you. Remember, they are trying to be as helpful as they possibly can be. And trash continues on the regular schedule of collection. Please note that the pink bags that we now have for recycling of clothing materials is suspended until further notice. So please do not put out pink bags. And let's see, Board of Health asks that everybody continue to practice social distancing. That includes youth and children in our community. Wash your hands often, soap and warm water, sing happy birthday a couple times, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, clean things that are frequently touched, such as doorknobs and countertops. Please cover your mouth if you cough or sneeze, and stay home if you are sick and avoid contact with others, but most of all, stay home as much as possible. And I will add, and I said this last week, we are putting out code red messages periodically. If you did not receive one late this afternoon from Jared Orsini, our Board of Health Director, then you need to sign up. You can do so by going to the town's website. And on the main page, you look for an icon that says Notify Me. And click that and go through the steps to receive the appropriate updates. You have options for the monthly Westwood Wire, calendar and news notifications, community and emergency phone messages, that's the code red I refer to, and for trash and recycling notifications. This is a very useful tool. It's how the town reaches out to the public in the largest way for the broadest communication. And so if you are not getting those messages, you should sign up for them. And let's see, Board of Health has a non-emergency number to call with questions. Again, they will respond as quickly as they can. That number is 781-320-1085. Jim, Jim O'Sullivan, Chair of the Board of Health, can you just give us a quick update on the latest statistics for Westwood?
I mean, the latest is since last week, we've gone from 3 confirmed cases. We have 8 additional, so now we have 11. All those people have been contacted by Tiffany McCarthy, the public health nurse. Chairperson Hyde, you did a great job relaying the instructions from Public Health Director Jared Orsini.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And thank you to the Board of Health and Jared for all you're doing. Okay, so switching just a little bit to a topic that I think is on the minds of many citizens in town, and that is, what do we expect regarding the upcoming tax bills and other bills that residents may have? On a preliminary basis, I will report to you that we anticipate legislation to go through the process at the State House that was already filed by Governor Baker. And this is legislation to allow Mass residents more time to pay real estate tax and excise tax bills. We are waiting for this to pass both the House and Senate before it can be signed by the governor. And once that happens, we expect that it will require action by Westwood's Select Board for local adoption. So we will go through those steps and have a meeting at such time as the governor has signed off on this legislation to fill us in on the details of what we will be able to do. And then we will get information out to the community. And there will be multiple ways where you can make payments that will also be provided. So look for that, and we're optimistic that that will occur in the near future. I believe Pam Dukeman's on the call. Pam, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that's great. There'll definitely be some relief coming. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of ways for people to pay, even though Town Hall is closed, online or by that green drop box in the front of Town Hall. It's a drive-up box. And definitely, as you mentioned, people can leave a message and staff will get back if there's any questions or anyone needs help in making a payment.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pam. Okay, so next, we're actually going to go to scheduled action for tonight. As I said earlier, we have a fairly limited agenda, but first on our agenda are actually 2 parts of important action for our discussion and deliberation and potentially action tonight. And those relate to the town election, which is currently scheduled for April 28th, and town meeting scheduled for May 4th. And first, I will take up the discussion of the town election. And we're having these discussions for the very obvious reason that the rules of engagement have changed and how many people we can gather together in one place, and the implications of school closures, et cetera, on this. So first, we'll take up the town election.
Well, Madam Chair, as you're aware, because it is my election, I must recuse myself from a vote on this.
Okay, and that was Mr. Walsh. Okay.
So I will stay silent during the entire conversation, and I will.
Okay, so we will take up the election discussion first. It will be Mr. Hickey and myself, and Mr. Walsh, you can rejoin us when we start talking about town meeting. So as I mentioned, the election is presently scheduled for April 28th, and given the state of emergency at the national, state, and local level, we had the Senate of Massachusetts initiate a bill number 2608, and it was passed by the Senate and the House and signed by Governor Baker last week. This legislation allows all the municipalities in Massachusetts who have election days coming up to be able to move them by action of the select board or the board of registrars, and we'll be taking it up tonight. But the town election would need to be held no later than June 30th of this year. So that is our window of opportunity right now. Again, we're taking this up largely because we now have limits on the number of people who can gather in one place at 10. And for people who go to the polling places, you know that there are a lot of workers in the rooms, so that could absorb the number of people that could be gathered in one place or leave very little room for voters to come in. And the legislation that was passed provides us with an important opportunity, and that is a relaxation of who can vote absentee. It would open up absentee voting to all voters. And I want to make sure that our esteemed town clerk, Dottie Powers, agrees with that comment.
It would be early voting.
Early voting, excuse me. It would not be called absentee voting. It would be early voting. So it would allow for voting in advance of the election day and by ballot, written ballot that could be mailed in.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that is an opportunity that this legislation gives us that we wouldn't have if we stayed with the April 28th voting date. Okay. So given it's Mr. Hickey and myself in this discussion, I guess I would ask both Dottie Powers and then Jim O'Sullivan as our town moderator, just to let us know if you are okay with us continuing this discussion to move the election date.
Yes, I feel like this is a very prudent move on us. I feel like just for the safety and health and welfare of the community and the election staff that I am in agreement with postponing the election.
Okay.
But we will do everything we can to make sure that everybody is able to vote, and that is by early voting.
Great. And Jim, I know you're more responsible for the town meeting and would weigh in then, but do you want to make any comment about our consideration of moving the town election?
No, I have no objection. We have a great select board. I trust your judgment.
Oh, thank you. John Hickey, any questions or comments you'd like to make?
No, I'm good. I have a motion when you're ready.
Well, so what I haven't put out there is a date, a proposed date, and the staff has recommended we consider Tuesday, June 2nd. And that gets us well outside of the potential return of students to schools, but also more time beyond where we think this the curve of the COVID virus will peak and hopefully decline. We don't know yet what it means for the numbers of people who will be able to assemble at that time. We'll have to continue to watch that, but it seems to give us a fair amount of leeway and still more time before June 30th occurs, which is the outside date that we could do this. So that's what's on the table. Again, John, are you okay with us pursuing that?
I am.
Okay, and I'm okay with that as well. So at this point, I would like to open it up for public participation. And this is where people who are on Zoom can indicate through chat that they would like to comment or ask a question. And anybody who has called in can do so by being on the call-in list. You know, you're already on the phone watching or listening to the meeting. Just so you know, we'll do the Zoom people who raise their hands first through the chat box that they have, and then we'll go to the people who are on the phone. You may be on the phone because that's how you're participating in the meeting. So what Melinda will do from Westwood Media Center is she'll say that the last four numbers of your phone number. She will read them out. And if you're just listening and don't intend to make a comment, then just say no comment. If we had a lot of people in the queue, it'd be hard to discern between who's participating in the meeting and just watching and who wants to comment. So hopefully this will go smoothly. So right now, if there's anyone who is participating in this meeting via Zoom who would like to ask a question or comment, now is the time to indicate so in the little chat feature that you have at the bottom of your screen. And Melinda will let me know if there's anybody who wants to participate. Or she'll tell me there's nobody.
Hi, Nancy.
Yes, who's this?
It's John Hickey. I'm sorry. I did have one question. Are
Sure.
we gonna? It's really for Dottie. With the June 2nd date, are we gonna go with the existing polling locations, or is there thought of reducing or increasing?
Well, John, right now, we would go with the existing polling locations. We would have to have a vote at least 20 days in advance to change locations.
Okay.
So we have the ability to wait and decide on that if we want to make any changes.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Perfect.
So we do, thank you, John. We do have one person who is asking to participate via Zoom, and that's Mary Macy Phelps. Am I right, Mary? Are you there?
I'm here, Nancy.
Hey, Mary, how are you?
Thanks. How you doing?
Good, all yours.
Sure. And for the record, Mary Macy Phelps, 295 Clapboard Tree Street, and I am a member of the Board of Library Trustees. First, a comment from everything that I've heard tonight and all the calls that I've been getting. This sounds like a good and very reasonable and prudent plan, and I support it. I am curious how the early voting would work. It sounds like that would all be done by mail. So I'm just interested in kind of what that would look like for people who are, cut off. Does one request a ballot? How would that work?
Sure, I'm going to ask Dottie to respond to the extent she can at this point. Dottie?
And Mary, the reason why they have allowed early voting for this situation is because they want every person to have the opportunity to vote.
Mm-hmm.
They do have to submit an application, whether it be an application that we'll have on our website or any written correspondence requesting a ballot with their signature. And what we're going to try to do is make sure we get these out to as many locations as possible. We'll put some applications in the police station. The Council on Aging will be doing a newsletter, and they'll be putting one in their newsletter. So we will make sure that everybody that wants to vote, participate, will be able to fill out an application, and we will get the ballots to them. And what I'm thinking of as well is also doing a postage paid, so that people don't have to, no one's going to be able to get out to the post office to get postage. So I think as a community, we should be able to do that for our residents as well.
That sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, Mary, you're good? Okay. Anybody else, Melinda, that wants to participate via Zoom? Okay, and anybody via phone call? Okay, so I guess we're good on that. John, I'll turn it over to you for a motion.
Sure. So I would, in accordance with Senate Bill 2608, signed into law by Governor Baker, and after consultation with the town administrator and the town clerk, I move that we postpone the annual municipal town election scheduled for April 28, 2020 to June 2nd, 2020.
Do you want to do the rest?
What's that? Do you want me to do the,
Yeah.
you want me to do the town? Okay, I'll do that all at once. Okay. I further move that we authorize the town administrator, in conjunction with the town clerk, to take any steps necessary to comply with the provisions of the Senate Bill number 2608, including properly posting it on the municipal website and giving notice via press release, reverse 911 calls, and any other steps necessary to ensure that the residents of Westwood are made aware of this change.
I will second that motion. All in favor? John Hickey
Aye.
and Nancy Hyde. I am aye as well. So that's a 2-0 vote. Unanimously, we support the change of the town election date to June 2nd. I don't know if anybody can get Mr. Walsh back on the call via a quick text to him. Or if he can let us know that he is back, because we will now move to a discussion of the annual town meeting and amending that date as well.
Actually, Nancy, can I just say a few more words?
Sure, go ahead, Dottie.
So I just want everybody to be aware too, because we are changing and we do have some new laws that have been established. It will create a new voter registration date, so that will be 10 days prior. So the new registration date will be May 22nd, and the last day to post the warrant will be May 26th. So
Okay, great.
we're aware of those dates, and we'll publicize the last day to register to vote as well. And
Great.
the town hall will have to be open from 2 to 4 and 7 to 8 on that day. But most people can do it online, which is probably at this time easy for people and probably better than getting.
Okay. All right. Mr. Walsh, are you back with us?
I am.
Great. Okay. So just so you know, FYI, we have moved the election date to June 2nd. So now our discussion is about the annual town meeting. This is a little bit different. This is something that's already within the authority of the select board at this time, because we have yet to post the warrant for town meeting, which is the action we would take, notifying people of the date of town meeting and posting that in the 4 precincts and going through all the appropriate steps. We have yet to do that for what would have been a May 4th town meeting. So we are still within a window where we as the select board can change the town meeting date if we so choose. And let's see, we want to start by saying the warrant articles have gone through the whole process of review and discussion and public hearings by the Finance Commission, and they concluded their final public hearing last Monday, and I know are going through the work to complete their annual book that goes out to all the residents and is available prior to town meeting. So normally, if we followed the charter, it says that our town meeting would be on the first Monday in May. And what we have before us is consideration to move town meeting to Tuesday, June 8th. And
Monday, Nance, Monday, June 8th.
thank you, Monday, June 8th. So the election day is Tuesday, June 2nd, Monday, June 8th for town meeting. And Christopher Coleman, could you join the conversation here? Have you checked about availability of space if we change the meeting to Monday, June 8th?
I have spoken to the school superintendent, and she doesn't see a problem with something after senior week, and June 8th would be after senior week.
Okay, and thinking maybe the gymnasium or the auditorium?
He has also provided some recommendations for different space, the little theater, the auditorium, and the gymnasium, because of the technical support that we have in those locations.
Okay, so we don't have to decide that tonight, do we?
We do not.
Okay, so to the discussion of Monday, June 8th as a town meeting date, this would follow by the same 6 days that we have under the present scenario had we not moved the town election to June 2nd. So the proposal is us for June 8th, and I would welcome any questions or comments by my colleagues on the select board regarding this.
Hi,
John?
Nance.
Go ahead, Michael.
All right, so I think it's a great idea. I mean, it gives us an extra month in case we're still not out of this by that point in time. Hopefully we are, but I think keeps everybody safe, and hopefully we'll be back to somewhat of a normal life by then.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is how many people will we be able to assemble, but we'll have to keep thinking about that before we get to the actual meeting date.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
We are waiting, we being many municipalities are waiting on some guidance and direction from the Commonwealth, which we hope to have shortly on that. We're waiting for the governor to come out with some information. We know that some information, some language has been submitted to the governor for his consideration, and we're just waiting for his final word on that.
Are you talking about quorum issues?
Yes,
or-
ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So just for people who are participating in this meeting, the quorum that is in our town charter is for 175 people. And that's the number we need to meet to be able to conduct town meeting business. But as Mr. Coleman just said, there is potentially guidance coming from the state regarding quorum issues, and we will stay on top of that. But at this point in time, we're not addressing that. We're just addressing the date. Mr.
Yes.
Hickey, any questions or comments?
No, that was my only concern was the quorum. But it looks like we're still waiting for that decision. But no, it's a good idea to move town meeting.
Okay. All right, so Westwood Media Center, we're going to go through the same thing we did on the last discussion, opening it up for anybody via Zoom to comment or ask questions, and then we will go to call-in. And I'll just remind people of the call-in number, 877-853-5257 or 888-475-4499. And the meeting ID is 272-525-486. Melinda, anybody looking to participate via Zoom?
I don't see any questions.
And any on the phone?
There's nobody on the phone.
Okay. So I don't know whether Mr. Hickey or Mr. Walsh wants to make the motion, but we have a draft motion for us regarding moving the town meeting date.
I have the motion.
Okay.
I move that the board vote pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 9, to set a date for the annual town meeting to Monday, March 8th, 2020.
June 8th.
June 8th, 2020, rather than the first Monday in May, May 4th, 2020, as would otherwise have been required for by Section 2-6-1 of the Town Charter to allow participation in a safe and reliable manner. This will allow the town to act on the operating budget and other financial matters and other items properly placed on the warrant. Further, to direct the town administrator, town council, town moderator, and town clerk to provide proper legal and practical notice of the new such date for the annual town meeting in any way that is deemed appropriate.
And before I take a second, I forgot to ask Mr. O'Sullivan or Ms. Powers if they have any comments on this.
No, I think it's prudent action. There is, as you say, legislation that hasn't been enacted yet. But this is within the purview of the select board, and in an emergency within the 20-day window, if necessary, I could extend it well away from that.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Dottie?
I agree with the decision, and also it can be, we can use the same warrant for the annual town election and the town meeting, the new postponed dates.
Okay.
As long as they're within 35 days of each other, the same would apply for the voter registration, the 10-day prior
Okay,
election.
all right, thank you. So I'll take a second on the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, we'll do this by roll call. Mr. Walsh?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
And Ms. Hyde, I say aye as well, so we have a unanimous vote to also move our town meeting date, and that will be on Monday, June 8th. Okay, so good. We're moving right along. Our next agenda item is an update from Town Clerk Dottie Powers regarding the federal census, which in the midst of all this is still a big undertaking and is ongoing. So Dottie, I'll turn it over to you.
It's very important for everybody to respond to the federal census. It's just beginning. Every 10 years, the federal government conducts this census. Your household may have recently received an invitation in the mail, and it has a unique ID number on it. It was sent by the U.S. Census Bureau from Jeffersonville, Indiana, to every household. You can see on the screen, there is an example of what this invitation looked like.
There it is.
We've had a lot of phone calls. People are not sure if this is something that's fraudulent, but this is valid. You should respond to the invitation by April 1st at my2020census.gov or by calling the Census Bureau at the number that's listed on your form, which is 1-844-330-2020. If you don't respond online or by phone, you may also receive a paper questionnaire by US mail. April 1st is the National Census Day, so by that date, all households should have received a questionnaire. All of these answers that you put on your census, they're all safe and secure. Everything is just used for statistical purposes. Nobody's names or any personal information that you put on this is going to be public. There's also a question that has come up because now we have many college students that are home due to this pandemic. And college students are typically counted at the college that they're living at. And the Census Bureau has sent out information to colleges looking for a list of any college students that are enrolled living at the schools. Any college students that live off-campus housing is different. They will get their own form and they should fill that out, again, living off campus and not with your parents. There's also a short video, which we're going to play, that will give you more information on this.
Hi, I'm Virginia and I work at the U.S. Census Bureau. You may have heard about the 2020 census, the once-a-decade count of everyone living in the United States, and that includes all college and university students too. We want to make sure you're counted in the right place, no matter where you physically are, even if you are temporarily living somewhere else. A lot of your schools may have closed down for the next few weeks, or even for the rest of the semester, and you may have returned home to families or are living with relatives or friends right now. Here's the official guidance. Students that normally live at school should be counted at school, even if you are temporarily living somewhere else due to the COVID-19 pandemic. First, if you normally live in a dorm or in college-owned Greek housing, don't worry. Your college is already working with us to count you. That means you don't need to do anything and you're off the hook. But if you normally live in an apartment or a house alone or with roommates or others, this is where you come in. You should receive an invitation in the mail to respond to the census, and you can respond in 3 ways: online, by phone, or by mail. Whatever method you choose, make sure you use your normal address where you usually live while you're in school. You should also include everyone else who normally lives there too. That means you'll be asked about your roommates' birthdays, how they want to identify their race, etc. But if you don't know that information or can't verify whether your roommate has already responded for your home, please respond for the entire household. We have tools to unduplicate your responses, and we'd rather eliminate duplicates than miss you or your roommates entirely. If you aren't around right now to get your mail, you can still respond to the 2020 census online at 2020census.gov. One more thing, if you usually live with your parents during the school year, they should include you when they respond to the census. The reason we want to make sure you're counted where you normally live is because those responses impact how billions of dollars in federal funding will be distributed to your school's community for services that affect you, like school safety, mental health services, and Pell Grants. Responding to the 2020 census is so important, and we want it to be easy, even when everything else gets difficult. Please share this message with your friends and make sure that you and everyone you know is counted in the census.
Great.
I think that summed it up. But again, it's very important for people to really respond to the census. And without this, we don't get the proper federal funding that we need. It also gives us seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. So it's very, very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dottie. Anybody that's on want to comment in the chat or by phone? John?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I just say thank you, Dottie, because I'm one of the people that raised that since I have 2 kids home now, and every time I do one of these Zoom meetings, my bandwidth says it's unstable because there's so many contraptions on the internet. So thank you, Dottie.
A reminder that they're home, huh? Okay, thank you, Dottie, and let's go on. We have minutes. I've asked.
Don't- Madam Chair, just for the record, that was my bandwidth is unstable, not me.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, we have minutes to approve. I've asked Tish to bring back March 16th. I had some minor edits, but I didn't get them to her until later this afternoon. March 23rd, Michael, you and I were at the meeting, the emergency meeting last week. So do you have any changes to it, or would you make a motion?
I move that we approve the March 23rd meeting minutes as amended.
No, 23rd wasn't amended, so they're the same.
Okay, I move that we approve the March 23rd Select Board minutes as written.
And I'll second that. Mr. Walsh?
Aye.
I'll say aye. And Mr. Hickey?
I'll say,
Okay,
there.
so two in favor and 1 abstention on that, Tish. All right, Mr. Coleman, anything else we need to bring up tonight?
Madam Chair, not right now. I just want to thank the board, the moderator, the town clerk, for all the work and support that we've had on these 2 matters, but also to all the employees who continue to work to provide services to the community, and to the community for really their support and their patience with everything that's going on, and for those, all of them who are adhering to the guidance of social distancing. So thank you all.
Thank you. And I would just, one final note, this is, obviously it's important that we have this meeting, but to boards and commissions who are considering meetings going forward, please only do so if absolutely necessary. If you can defer meeting, that would be preferred. And we will continue to have meetings done virtually to limit our in-person interactions as much as possible. So that's just a request from the select board. Our next scheduled meeting is Monday, April 13th. Something tells me we'll be having a meeting before then, especially if the legislation goes through the State House regarding delay in tax payments. But we will meet as needed and as requested by the town administrator. But we do have a scheduled meeting again on April 13th. So anything from my colleagues on the board before we sign off?
No, nothing. Just everyone be safe.
John?
No, I'm good, Nancy, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to adjourn, and we'll do that by roll call vote as well.
I move that we adjourn our select board meeting this evening.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
Mr. Hickey,
Aye.
and Ms. Hyde, I say aye as well. Thank you, everybody, and thank you again to Westwood Media Center. Good job. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks all.